The rollout of the state's cannabis program. In the words of the governor, it's been a disaster. Can it be fixed? The Point starts right now. Mike Gerasi is the first licensed adult-use cannabis processor in all of New York State. His all-in-one extracting and product manufacturing makes Pure Vibe gummies, Hysteria chocolates, and Headspace pre-rolls, among many other cannabis products. So who better to talk about the rollout of the program than a guy who's in the thick of it? So I wanted to start out by talking to you about the fact that there are about 85 legal stores, but 2,000 illegal stores, and it seems that people like to go to the illegal stores because it's a whole lot cheaper. Is that true?
That's one of the reasons why they want to go to the illegal stores, but it's about convenience. It's about them being able to just go around the corner from their house and getting something. There's been a slow rollout, as we know, the injunction. So now with the state has been acting quick to reopen some of these stores. We went from 20 stores in November. When they reopened in December, we got about another 60 stores that just reopened in a matter of 2-3 months. So they're definitely taking steps to get more stores open. But to your point, yes, there's a lot of illegal shops.
So let me ask you this question. Why is it so much cheaper to go and buy your cannabis products at an illegal store?
Well, they skirt a lot of the taxes. One of the biggest things is the taxes. Plus, they're getting subpar products from out of state that don't need to meet a lot of the testing requirements that we have to go through. So there's costs associated with those tests, and that's why we have to raise our prices.
So let me talk to you about this. I have in my hand a vape that you make, that you pay. How much in taxes do you pay on something like this?
So vapes and concentrates are some of the most expensive potency tax we have to pay.
What percentage of tax did you pay on this?
About 20%.
20%?
20% on the potency tax for that vape.
So how much does that add to your cost?
It's a substantial cost. It's almost 1/3 of our cost is the potency tax.
So let's talk about this. You would sell this to a store for?
$29.
And is that in addition to the tax or including the tax?
That's including the tax.
And then you sell it to the store, and they
mark it up. They double it typically. And so that $29, they'll put another $29 on top of it, sell it for $58. But then there's a sales tax to the consumer for an additional 13%.
A 13% sales tax, not the 8 3/4 in New York City?
No, 13%.
So they're paying about $65 for this?
Correct.
How much would you pay in an illegal store?
It ranges anywhere from $30 to $60. You can get one of these.
So basically, it's a lot cheaper because of the taxes.
Correct.
So what should the state do to make you more competitive?
I think they really need to enforce the illegal stores and start getting them closed down. There's a whole chain reaction of events by having illegal stores opening and running, and one of them is for example the subpar quality products that they offer that are tainted potentially with illegal pesticides and stuff. So in this case, I think if the state enforced more and closed down the stores and had more of an enforcing arm where they had more powers to shut down these stores and where they don't reopen and restock the next day after they get shut down, I think we'd be in a better place, the suppliers.
Are you able to compete with the prices that they offer?
No.
How come?
Well, we have a lot more requirements. One of the requirements we have to have is a labor peace agreement. When they created the MRTA, one of them was that we have to have a labor peace agreement with the unions. And as you know, with unions, there's prevailing wages and all that, and we have to keep our workers happy.
But also, there's the taxes. Should they reduce the taxes that you have to pay?
100%. That's without a doubt. We're never going to compete with the black or gray market with that type of potency tax.
So are you calling on the state to reconsider the amount of taxes they're charging?
Oh, 100%. I think the governor has something in place right now for a 7 to 9% flat fee potency tax.
As opposed to 20 up to 23?
As opposed to the current potency tax structure that they have. It could end up, it ranges depending what product it is. It ranges on the percentage margins.
So let's zero in on another, the other issues, which will have to do with, are you able to close these places down? Is a good enforcement, plan in place to try to close these places down?
Currently, I don't think they have a well planned right now. They are talking about giving municipalities approval to do whatever enforcement means I guess they need to shut down these places and keep them shut down. But I think that's going through the legislature. They have to kind of give their blessing for that. And to my understanding, it seems like it's not going to get passed.
Well, let me ask you a question. In order for the municipalities to close them down, do they have to go back and make cannabis illegal?
Not necessarily cannabis illegal, but I think they could definitely put a little more enforcement and criminalize in a way misdemeanors.
They would have to criminalize it. Is there a
for habitual offenders? I think that's fair.
Is there a reluctance on the part of the legislature to do that after they just decriminalized it?
Yeah, well, keep in mind we're not. I think what they're suggesting is for the bad players who keep on opening up dispensaries and selling illegal and illicit products to consumers. I think they are trying to have a better enforcement of those individuals, and I think that's fair because it's really hurting a proper rollout of this industry in New York.
So how does the scarcity of licenses now affect your business?
Yeah, so we have a supply chain. And the supply chain, I think we met a lot of the demands the market was asking, but we have a very small amount of stores to sell to. So it affects all the brands, it affects all the suppliers who are sitting on all this inventory that is slowly expiring. I think by opening stores more, currently they approved, or not approved, but they are in the process of approving 1,200 licenses for retail dispensaries. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's a substantial amount of legal stores if we can get them open. But there's a process that they have to go through to get open. And I think the state is doing what they could with the limited resources they have to get them open. And considering the timeline that we had from when they just reopened from the litigation and the settlement, they opened about 60 stores in a matter, that's about 20 stores a month. So I think that's pretty good if we can stay on that pace.
How does that affect the farmers?
It affects them because they all come down at the same time in New York. They all harvest at the same time in October. And you're going to have a supply usually around, a massive supply around January, February, and March. And then towards the end of the year, ideally you want to sell out so when you get your next crop for the next season. But there are a lot of farmers that are waiting for more stores to open to supply to.
So let's talk about the quality. A lot of people feel, listen, I can go into an illegal store and it's just as good as going to a legal store. Is that true?
No, because the products that they're offering are not tested, and they're not tested to the rigorous standards that New York has in place. And we spend a lot of money for lab testing. And it's a rigorous test, and sometimes we fail for certain things, and we have to remediate or do another process to make sure the product is safe for the consumer. They don't have to go through that on the illicit shops.
So could it poison them if they got something from an illegal store?
Absolutely. I just had a conversation with someone backstage about how they took a product, the chocolate, and it was over the milligrams that was displayed on the packaging, and they got very sick. So these are real things, and it gives a bad name for the whole industry. And you're not going to find that in legal stores. It's clearly marked, labeled. We had to go through a GMP process, which is good manufacturing practices, and that ensures that there's safe, clean, tested practices in place for these products.
Okay, well, I want to thank you very much for joining me. We're going to
No.
have to leave it right there for now, but we're going to be right back.